Now that you can take a question apart, this outcome is about turning that understanding into a finished piece of work. We'll move from a solid plan through to a polished essay or report, thinking carefully about how to structure and present your answer. In this outcome, you'll learn to turn a question into a clear, detailed plan, and then write a response that's coherent and logically ordered. We'll look at presenting your work in the right format, choosing sensibly between an essay and a report, and acknowledging your sources honestly all the way through. It's tempting to dive straight in, but planning first genuinely saves you time. A plan keeps you from wandering off the question and shows you the whole shape of your answer before you commit any words. You spot gaps in your evidence early rather than late, and reordering points on a plan is quick and painless compared with rewriting paragraphs. Best of all, you write faster because the big decisions are already made. The first step is to read and unpack the question. Underline the command word, whether that's discuss, explain, or compare, and underline the topic, exactly what you must cover. Note any limits, such as the word count, a time period, or the kind of examples expected. Reword the question in your own words to check you've grasped it, and keep it visible while you plan and write, so you never drift away from it. Let's break one down. Take, discuss the effects of social media on teenagers' sleep. The command word discuss means weigh different views, not just describe. The topic is the effects of social media on sleep, and the focus group is teenagers, so keep your examples age-appropriate. The scope implies both negative and possibly neutral or positive effects. Reworded, it becomes, weigh up how social media use changes how well teenagers sleep. So you know you must argue two sides and reach a judgment, not simply list facts. A few terms to keep in mind here. The command word is the instruction verb, such as discuss, explain, or compare. Coherent describes ideas that connect smoothly, so the reader is never lost. A counterpoint is an opposing view you raise so you can weigh and answer it, and the format is the overall shape of the piece, whether an essay or a report. Step 2 is to note what your introduction and conclusion need to do. Jot down what the introduction must set up, namely the topic and your line of argument, and try drafting a one-line answer to the question early on. Your conclusion will restate that answer, adding no new evidence or ideas. Bookending your plan this way keeps the whole answer pointing at the question. Step 3 is choosing your key points, and 3 or 4 strong ones will always beat 6 thin ones. Each key point becomes a single paragraph in your answer. For each, add a counterpoint or a limitation, and attach an example from your research. Then order them so the argument builds logically from one to the next. Here's what one paragraph plan looks like. For the social media and sleep question, your key point might be that late-night screen use delays sleep onset. Your evidence could be research on blue light and melatonin, and you'd note the source. Add an everyday example, like scrolling in bed and losing track of time. Then raise a counterpoint. Some teenagers use apps with wind down or night modes. Finally, add a line that links forward to your next point. Point, evidence, example, counterpoint, link, and you repeat that pattern for each key point. Step 4, and it's an easy one to skip. Note your sources as you plan. Write down the author, year, and title beside each point, and record page numbers for anything you might quote. Doing this now spares you a frantic search later, and it protects you from accidental plagiarism. Those notes will grow straight into your reference list. Coherent writing leans on good linking words, so it's worth planning some in. To add a point, you might use furthermore, in addition, or moreover. To contrast, however, on the other hand, or whereas. To show cause, therefore, as a result, or consequently. To give an example, for instance, such as, or to illustrate, and to conclude overall, in conclusion, or to sum up. If you use AI planning tools, use them responsibly and only where your tutor allows it. They're fine for brainstorming angles, but not for writing your answer. Always check any suggestion against real, cited sources, and make sure the thinking and the final words are genuinely your own. And if you do use AI, you must declare and reference it. To be clear about the boundaries, it's acceptable to have AI generate a list of possible points, suggest a structure you then rework yourself, explain a tricky term in plain English, or check your own draft for clarity before you edit it. It's not acceptable to submit AI text as if you wrote it, to use its facts without checking a real source, to let it invent references or quotations, or to hide that you used it at all. Say you used an AI planner to brainstorm points. How do you acknowledge it in Harvard style? Add a note explaining what you did, for example, that AI generated an initial list of ideas, which you then checked and rewrote. Give the tool, its version, and the date you used it, and place it in your reference list like any other source. It would read something like OpenAI 2025 ChatGPT, GPT-4, a large language model available at the OpenAI web address, accessed on the 4th of August 2026. Let's pause for a quick check. What are the 5 things a good paragraph plan contains? Why do you note your sources during planning rather than after? And can you give one acceptable and one unacceptable use of an AI planner? Have a think before we move on to the writing itself. Now to the writing, and here's the golden rule. Follow your plan, don't improvise a new structure as you go. Each planned point becomes one clear paragraph, written in full sentences rather than note form. Keep checking that every paragraph actually answers the question, and if a point no longer seems to fit, revise the plan first before you write. A strong introduction does a few things at once. Open by setting your topic in context and show that you understand what the question is asking. State your line of argument or your main answer and signpost the key points you're going to cover. Keep it short though. An introduction is a paragraph, not a page. Let's turn that plan point into a paragraph. Start with a topic sentence that states the point plainly. Using screens late at night can delay when teenagers fall asleep. Then add your evidence, acknowledging the source in your own words, and give the everyday example of scrolling in bed and losing track of time. Raise the counterpoint with a however and answer it. Then end with a sentence that links into the next paragraph. Point, evidence, example, counterpoint, link. A coherent paragraph that moves the argument forward. Your conclusion should answer the question, not trail off. Restate your main answer in fresh words and pull your key points together briefly to show how they support your overall judgment. Resist the urge to add any new evidence, ideas, or examples here. Leave the reader in no doubt about where you stand. Let's build a reference for your list. Take the Study Skills Handbook, 5th edition by Stella Cottrell from 2019, published by Red Globe Press in London. Begin with the author's surname and initial Cottrell, S, then the year in brackets. Add the title in italics, followed by the edition, 5th edition, and then the place of publication and publisher, London, Red Globe Press. Order your full list alphabetically by author surname. The finished reference reads, Cottrell, S, 2019, The Study Skills Handbook, 5th edition, London, Red Globe Press. A few terms to anchor this section. A topic sentence is the first sentence of a paragraph, stating its main idea. Signposting means words that tell the reader what's coming next. Coherence is how well your ideas connect and flow across the whole piece. And your reference list is the alphabetical list of every source you've used. Choosing the right format matters. Match it to the task and the subject. An essay is continuous prose that builds an argument in paragraphs, while a report uses sections with headings, presenting findings and recommendations. Follow any format your tutor or the brief specifies. The right choice simply makes your answer easier to read. Let's set the two side by side. An essay flows in paragraphs with no headings, building a single argument through an introduction, body and conclusion, with a reference list at the finish, and it suits discuss or evaluate questions. A report, by contrast, uses clear headings and numbered sections, presents findings and then recommendations, and may include bullet points and tables. It works well for investigations or case studies and ends with references plus any appendices. Presentation counts for more than you might think. Use a clear, readable font with consistent spacing and add your name, the question, and page numbers. If your format uses headings, keep them consistent. Proofread carefully for spelling, grammar, and clarity, and include your reference list in Harvard style. A tidy professional finish makes a real impression on the marker. Here's a judgment you'll often have to make. Say you find a claim about teen sleep in an anonymous social media post. Should you use it? There's no named author, so you can't judge the writer's expertise, and the post cites nothing you can check. Its purpose might be opinion or clickbait rather than research. Ask whether a reliable source supports the same claim, and if not, don't cite it. Instead, find a credible published source with a named author, a date, and checkable evidence, such as a book or journal. One more check before we close. Can you name 2 features that tell a report apart from an essay? Which format suits a discuss question and why? And can you list 3 checks that show a source can be trusted? Give those a moment's thought.